So thank you so much, Paul, for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, wonderful. So the first question I think is just generally tell me more about what it is that you do and your company.
Sure, thanks. So the company's called Innabella Media, and it's a video production company. So we work with clients, sort of small, medium, and large, on a variety of video production projects. So we do things like promotional videos. So if you've got a small business and you want to showcase what it is you do or what your product is or why it's great, and you want to get that in front of lots of eyes across social media, TV advertising, in any sort of video form, we work with companies to do that. We do a lot of events and things as well. We've been doing a lot of live streaming in the last couple of years, as that's really sort of skyrocketed and taken off, which is great fun because it's my favorite sort of work, because I love the buzz of being at a live event and all the setup and everything, and getting all the team together. Because it's live and immediate now, you get that sort of adrenaline rush, which is great. And we also work sort of directly with brands in a different way through YouTube. So if a brand wants to promote a particular product or an item, then they send that to us for review in the sort of influencer marketing type sphere, where we'll sort of showcase that as ourselves on YouTube, but promoting the device or gadget or thing online there. So yeah, a really wide variety of things, all to do in some way with video and media production and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. And have you always been interested in video and media and things like that? How did you kind of get into this business?
Yeah, since I was in nappies, basically. It runs in the family, right through from my grandfather to my dad, and then to me. So it's family history of video production. It started with my granddad, who was really interested in sort of cine cameras when they were first introduced. My claim to fame is that my granddad invented floodlights because he needed a way to get a good, clean, bright, white light indoors, because the early cine films were not at all sensitive. So they worked great outside on a sunny day. Take them inside, and it was just terrible. So to cut a long story very short, he invented the world's first floodlight, and my dad still has it in his loft at home.
Wow.
We last turned it on about 25 years ago, and it still worked. So at some point, I want to do a video about them and showing them. And we'll
I was going to say,
it'll still work.
Showing people.
Yeah, we're not millionaires, sadly, because when he phoned up, I probably shouldn't mention the company that he phoned up to order some parts in. He was thinking, oh, this is great, I'll do this, and ordered a load of parts. And the company, which is a very well-known household name, said, what do you want all them for? And naively, my poor granddad told them exactly what he was doing. And they went, oh, that's a good idea, brought it to market. And we're not millionaires. But then he passed down the interest in cameras and video production and video technology to my dad, who was a chemistry teacher primarily, but then he sort of founded and started a video department at the school that he taught at in Birmingham. And then obviously from an early age, I got, fantastic access to play with all this sort of high level broadcast equipment. We used to get, the school was just down the road from Pebble Mill, which is used to be the BBC Birmingham base before it was knocked down. So we used to get loads of sort of, old equipment from Pebble Mill and got to go around there. So right from an early age, I was tripping over broadcast video equipment in the living room when he'd bring it home over the summer holidays. And I remember doing sort of blue screen stuff in the garden with a tablecloth. So got the buzz from a very early age. And so when I graduated, and I've got other interests as well, so I just decided to do something completely separately for my degree. I've got a degree in modern languages, but then when I graduated, I started up the company, and the rest is history.
Wow, I mean, that's epic. And just as interest, I just obviously noticed that you mentioned your degree in modern languages. Have you found any way to make use of that in what you do, or?
Not as much as I'd like to. In an ideal world, I'd have clients from the Caribbean calling me over there, and then I'd be able to speak to them in Spanish and things. But
I'm saying with that language school, you can make it like a global thing. Is that your intention for the company anyway, to spread it out, make it global? Or? It
would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, the work hasn't been restricted just to the UK. We've done bits of work in Germany before, and we've got some work coming up in the States later this year, hopefully. Awesome. So yeah, it's not sort of restricted just to the UK, although it is primarily. But yeah, it would be great to potentially expand, any excuse to travel, and especially if it's traveling for business and the client's paying type thing, then it's
Absolutely.
always good. You never turn that down.
No, of course, we love that. And I'm just thinking as well in terms of what it is that you do exactly. I'm assuming obviously a lot of it's online, a lot of it's like laptop computer based. So did the pandemic impact you as badly as maybe like other sorts of businesses, or were you pretty okay?
We had both. Well, I personally at least had both extremes. At the start of the pandemic, the first lockdown, I essentially, to all intents and purposes, had to shut the business down, which was heartbreaking.
Wow.
Because I'm a parent and I have kids who were off school. My wife's
Of course, yeah.
NHS worker on the emergency response team, so clearly her work took priority, which is right and proper. But that did mean that I think there was a lot of inconsistency in the way, because it was all done in such a panic. For the first session, first lockdown rather, the rule here, at least at our school, was no, both parents have to be key workers, otherwise the kids can't go in. So like a lot of people, I was sort of stuck at home with the kids, trying to get them on Joe Wicks and watching Let's Go Live, the kids live broadcast that Maddie Moten Breakfoot did was fantastic. But yeah, I couldn't really work, and a lot of things that I would have been doing for work weren't happening. So even if I could work, there wouldn't have been much work to do. So it was a difficult situation, and obviously it was made even worse by the government deciding that limited company directors simultaneously didn't exist and were also fraudsters. So not sure how they worked that out, but so whilst people who were self-employed got free money from the government and could still work if they had work, and whilst normal employees could be furloughed, folk like us got absolutely nothing, which was a shame. However, it was a much happier story for the second lockdown. Obviously, wasn't happy that we had another lockdown, but the third lockdown really, because we had that little mini one, didn't we? In November.
There were so many.
Yeah. Which lockdown was it now? It was a different story then, and I was able to work because our children were able to go to the school. They sort of changed the criteria that if one parent was a key worker, and that enabled me to work. And then the interest in live streaming and everything by that point was really starting to take off. And obviously not many events were happening, but some events were still happening, and that was funerals, which was I remember when we got the first phone call and said, can you live stream this funeral for it? I thought, well, I could do that. That's a bit weird. And that was how I felt, to begin with. Well, that's not weird's probably the wrong word, but but then
different as well. You don't usually get them, and also it's all in a way it's introducing technology in a wedding. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I get that. I get that sentiment. Yeah, for sure.
People are a lot more familiar now with video cameras than they were when I was a kid and growing up. Someone stood there with a video camera, it felt extremely inappropriate the first couple of times, but I just had to say to myself, we had a team of never more than about 2 at the funeral. We'd have a couple of camera angles in a vision mixer. We'd often have a wireless link to a camera outside because we'd have funeral corteges arriving, with horse and cart and things like that. Just had to tell myself, I'm not a video person. This isn't a camera in my hand. I am the eyes of the family members in Australia, in America, in Canada who can't be here. And it got to the point where we were doing sort of 3 or 4 a week, and we're really, really busy. But it was absolutely lovely because to help someone out in that time of need, and some of the feedback we got, and the thanks we got from people was, we weren't doing it for business reasons, and obviously the price we charged was a fraction of what we charge a big business conference event. Just cover our costs really, and do it as something to to help others, because luckily I didn't lose anyone close to me during the pandemic, but the people who did and were trapped to the other side of the world, unable to participate, the fact that we were able to bring them together, and if the pandemic had happened 10 years earlier, all of this technology did exist, but not at the level that it was. So it was really, really rewarding being able to use the equipment that we have, and the skills and experience. It sounds really cheesy, but to use it for good. So that was a a life-changing experience, really, attending so many funerals in so many different churches around the Northwest, a couple of children's funerals as well, which were really hard, and we had to sort of keep it together and be professional at the time. But I remember there was one funeral where I decided I wanted to go beyond and above for the family, and sort of re-edit little bits of it to give that to them. I was sat at this desk here, in fact, editing it, and I just had to stop and bawl my eyes out at one point. It's a child in a family that I've never met and had no connection with, but at that, with what was going on and at that time.
Also being a parent, I suppose, as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Ever since I had kids, I cry at the slightest thing now. It's the way it is,
I know the feeling. The feeling. Well, but that's amazing. It's extremely inspirational. Thank you so much for sharing that with me. And I mean, that probably leads me on to one of the other questions, which was, one of your biggest learnings, I guess, in the last couple of years, or even throughout the entirety of your business journey. Like, is there any couple of things that really kind of stand out for you?
I think being versatile and doing different things, and I mean, so starting your own business and doing things is always, you've got to have the mindset of pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And as any sort of business coach would tell anyone who's new to business, if someone phones up and says, "Can you do this?" Unless you absolutely can't, you should say yes, and then work out how to do it later. Put the phone down and go, what do I do, type thing. But yeah, you should always say yes if you can, and then work out how to do it. And I suppose in a way, what we've just been talking about with the funerals, which is something I never in a million years thought I would be doing.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But it developed me personally, developed me professionally, but more importantly, it helped others, and it did good for the world, because at the end of the day, we're all just here on this little planet, and we're not here forever. And the most important thing is doing good for others, and trying to make the world a tiny bit of a better place. So yeah, I think the biggest thing to learn is step outside your comfort zone. Don't always stay in your comfort zone. And the first few of those were definitely outside of my comfort zone. And the rest of the team who were operating the cameras as well, is more pressure than even a wedding. I mean, they often say wedding photography is extremely high pressure. Personally, I've done a lot more wedding video than I have wedding still photography. But then a funeral, it's a different level of what's the word? Stress on the part of the operator, but it's even more important. And obviously, a wedding is important, and it's it's a one of a kind, one-off event in someone's life normally. But a funeral is just a whole different kettle of fish. So
of course, But I mean, that's incredible, and it's amazing that you found a way to be of service, to people during that time. And I'm sure, so many people were grateful. I did attend an online funeral and multiple weddings during the pandemic. And, without that sort of connection, and, technology has reached such a place where, we can find connection over it, even though people complain about how impersonal it makes certain things feel. It's like, well, when there's the only choice, the fact that people like you are there to be able to facilitate that, that's awesome.
Yeah, and our aim was always to try and make it as personal as possible. So obviously some people had no other option than just to sort of stick an iPad at the back of the church, and which is better than nothing. But we tried. I mean, for me, my mindset was, it's just another event. I've done hundreds of these over the years. Forget that it's a funeral. It's an event. Pretend it's like a music show, a festival on the stage or something. But I think being able to have really good, clear close-ups, cutting to different angles like you would, think Songs of Praise or that sort of program inside a church, but then also good, crystal clear audio so that people can hear. I mean, they always say, don't they, that audio is more than half of video. If you've got a terrible picture or you can hardly see the person giving the eulogy, that doesn't really matter as much as if you can hear them. So that's a lot of the feedback we got as well. They could hear really clearly, and actually most of the time people watching on the live stream could hear a lot more clearly than the people at the church because of echoes and stuff like that. But yeah, to make it as personal and to try and give the person or families watching make it as much as possible as if they were really there. Because when you're sat in a chair, obviously in a church, your eyes glance around the room, don't they? And you'll be focusing on that person there, or you might look up at whatever you can see. So to try and replicate that in the same way you would at any event, of course, but the focus was a lot more on trying to make the person feel like they're there, and that hopefully in the moment they'll forget that they are sat at a computer screen, or with it casting to the TV or whatever. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's beautiful. Really creating an experience.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Well, I mean, I'm just conscious of time now, but last couple of questions. Do you have any favorite quotes or sayings, or anything that has particularly you come across that has inspired you?
One of my favorite quotes that I say all the time is, "A chain is only as strong as its weakest link." I think that applies to so many things in life, in business, and everything, especially in a very technical sense. A chain really is just as strong as its weakest link. So I think that's a really good mantra to live by, that there's no point in making sure that 95% of everything works, because if something doesn't, then that could potentially bring the whole thing down. So having alternatives and backups and redundancy and all the rest of that. But yeah, that's my favorite saying that I'll always say. In fact, I said it the other day to my daughter. I can't remember what. It was something on the TV, and I said, "Oh, well, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link."
Oh, that's fantastic. It's great when you can bring it to real life scenarios and they're like, "Oh, that's what you mean."
Yeah.
I remember only being a certain age when I started to understand my dad's sort of quotes and sayings and little things. But no, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that and your story, and thank you so much for being here today. I'm sure that everyone watching will find your story really inspirational. And yeah, thank you.
Oh, pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks.
Amazing.